like to welcome Mr. Jude Chemeka, the Divisional Head Capital Markets, for his welcome remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a great pleasure to welcome you to this event, the Facts Behind the Figures for Transnational Corporation. The CEO was with us earlier in the course of the closing gong for the market, but he's had to leave, but he sends his regards and has asked me to read the opening remarks on his behalf. So this is the CEO's opening remarks. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to today's Facts Behind the Figures presentation of Transnational Corporation PLC. The Facts Behind the Figures presentation provides our listed companies the opportunity to inform the market of their financial performance as well as other strategic and operational developments. We anticipate a worthwhile and a fruitful interaction today that will encourage transparency, price discovery, and overall performance of the stock price of Transcorp. On behalf of the board, management of the Nigerian Exchange Limited, and the entire capital market community, I commend the management of Transnational Corporation PLC, Transcorp Group, for leveraging this platform to increase its engagement with the capital market community. As the foundation of an effective and viable capital market lies in timely and relevant information. This change encourages all issuer interaction with the market participant via the Facts Behind the Figures event. Since its incorporation on November 16, 2004, and its subsequent listing on the exchange in December 2006, Transnational Corporation PLC is one of the foremost diversified conglomerates with strategic investments in power, hospitality, and energy sectors. Some of the businesses under the group include Transcorp Power Limited, Transafam Power Limited, Transcorp Hotels PLC, and Transcorp Energy Limited. Transnational Corporation PLC is committed to creating value and socioeconomic impact by improving lives and transforming Nigeria through its business operations and initiatives, whilst being deliberate on building an organization that will transcend generations, cutting across various industries across Africa. Hence, the new identity as Transnational Corporation PLC from Transnational Corporation Nigeria PLC is to position the group as a force to be reckoned with within and outside Africa. Transnational Corporation PLC has recorded 19 billion profit after 19 billion naira profit before tax in its result for the third quarter ended September 30th, 2022. The result was an improvement from 13.3 billion PBT recorded during the same period in 2021. I think they deserve a sound round of applause for this excellent performance, just given the sort of challenging environment that we have. And I believe that in the course of this program, they would certainly be letting us know the secret behind it. The achievement is as a result of hard work and resilience displayed by the management team. They continue to strengthen the company's financial performance, maintaining a growth trajectory in revenues by 12.5% from 85.6 billion naira in September 2001 to 96.2 billion naira in the same period under consideration. Another round of applause for them, please. At the Nigerian Exchange Limited, we remain committed to helping issuers derive great value from their interaction with the market by positioning ourselves as African exchange of choice. We will continue to adopt rules aimed at improving the corporate governance of our listed companies, and offer products and services that are tailored to the needs of investors in a fair and orderly market. With the fast-changing macroeconomic environment in Nigeria and globally, we encourage Transnational Corporation PLC to continue to strive for sustainability by adhering to higher standards of corporate governance, deeper social impact, higher regulatory compliance, and greater returns for shareholders. This change provides an efficient, liquid, and multi-asset securities platform that offers investors varied options, including equities, fixed income, derivatives, and other exchange-traded products, including mutual funds and exchange-traded funds. We are indeed committed to developing the Nigerian capital market by providing a market that thrives on innovation and responds to the needs of stakeholders in assessing and using capital. Our market continues to be resilient in providing stakeholders with a platform to raise capital and invest. Year to date, NGX Exchange Limited has facilitated needed financing for over 3.85 trillion naira in capital raised by governments and corporates across various asset classes. I therefore use this opportunity to invite Transnational Corporation PLC and all viewers to leverage the various benefits of listing on the exchange, including improved access to capital, increased global profile, and access to liquidity. We thank you and our guests for your presence today and encourage you to participate fully during the interactive session. We also like to use this opportunity to thank all our viewers who are joining us on all the social network and channels to participate at today's event. The Doyen, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to invite the President, GCEO, Transnational Corporation PLC, Mrs. Owen Omogiafo, to make their presentation. I'm sure she deserves a better round of applause.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Most special greeting to the Doyen and everyone here. It's my pleasure to be here today representing a group that we've been reminded started from here, Transcorp. I bring you greetings from our group chairman, Mr. Tony O. Elumelu, CFR, and the entire board, management, and the staff, over 3,000 staff that we have across Transcorp Group. We're happy to be here today. Thank you. You have my team here. They've been introduced, but I would like to crave your indulgence because one of the things I would like us to leave from here today is that you just don't hear Owen's voice alone, but you hear along the way the voices of Peter Ikenga, Vincent Ozolve, Chris Eziafulukwe, and Dupe Olushola. So you will get to hear them as we go on, if you don't mind. So we're here today to talk about, as the name says, the facts behind the figures. An opportunity for us to engage with you and also let's hear from you what you would like to see more of. The last time we were here was in 2019, prior to what changed the world as we know it, the COVID pandemic. And when we came then, there were 3 CEOs. But the group has expanded, and today we have 5 CEOs in front of you. And we're very happy to say that we are a group that is listed, and we also have one of our subsidiary companies listed. I don't think any other person can say that. So going by the outline that we were given, very quickly, let's start with, naturally, because of what we're doing, you will note our disclaimer statement where we're talking about the forward-looking statements that we'll make in here. So in this meeting today, we'll tell you about the things that are happening, and we'll also tell you what our look-ahead plans are. However, please note the disclaimer that we have there. I don't think I want to read everything, but please note it. You have the booklets that have been passed around. It's well written in there, please. You don't have it? Okay, so the team would address that, please. Just a look at the industry. I mean, Mr. Chiemeka has been kind enough to explain the industry we're in, the world, the country today. We are all here. We know the highs and the lows. We know what the challenges are. From inflation, at end of September, inflation was over 20%, the highest has been in 17 years, since 2005. We see what's going on with the continued depreciation of the naira. We hear what's going on in our oil sector, and despite the boom that the oil industry is enjoying globally, but because of our reduced production, we've not really been able to enjoy it as much. But despite that, it's not all gloom and doom, because the GDP is still projected to close at a modest, but there's still a growth of 3.2%. And it's in this challenging environment that we in Transcorp Group have grown our gross earnings by 12.5%. And more importantly, perhaps, as long as the top earning has grown, we've also managed the business quite efficiently for the stakeholders, as witnessed in our profit after tax, which has grown by over 40%. Looking more specific into the sectors that we operate in, as had been mentioned, we are in the power, hospitality, and the oil and gas sector. Let's bring it down to power first of all. We've seen some things happen in this sector. One of the things that has happened it's right here on the exchange with the introduction of the utility sector on the NGX, and I think we should give a round of applause to the NGX for that. And I don't need to dwell too much on the importance of that, because Jude Chiemeka has talked a lot about that and what it means to the market. And for us in Transcorp, with the nearly 2,000 megawatts of installed capacity, you can imagine what it's going to be. Not if, when we do come in, because as you know, in part of our wider group, we do believe in the capital market, and we mature businesses and bring them to the exchange, one of which I'll keep on saying is our Transcorp Hotels PLC, which was listed in 2016. I'm not sure on the screen, so let me just, maybe I'll try and use this, because I can't go that far. So some things to note in the power sector today. Nigeria as a whole has an installed capacity of 12,522 megawatts. Of that, 85% comes from the thermal. Thermal has 85% of that, and the hydro is 15%. Transcorp is 2,000 megawatts out of that, which is about 15% of Nigeria's total installed capacity. Now, despite the installed capacity, we now come into, yes, there's installed capacity, but what is the average power that is actually available? And it's somewhat tied to the performance of the grid and the availability of power in the various plants across Nigeria. It ranges between 3,000 to 5,000 gigawatts, or 3,000 to 5,000 megawatts. Of that 3,000 to 5,000 megawatts, Transcorp Group is generating on average about 700, 800 out of that, which again is quite a respectable percentage of the base of 3,000 to 5,000. For the electrification rate, which is now really, yes, you've talked about all those gigawatts, but how is the power actually getting to the end users? The urban environment accounts for 86%, whilst 14% goes to the rural area, with the per capita consumption of power put at 126 kilowatt hour per household. Going into our key things that have happened in the sector that we think is important for the exchange to note, because these are things that could actually, they are material or have significance on the sector. We are all here, we are aware of the introduction of the partial activation by NERC and other stakeholders in the power sector. That was activated in July of 2022, whereby we have some commitments. We signed contracts regarding the power that we will generate, as well as the power that will be taken from us. Now, why is this something to note? Is like, if everyone performs as they should, it means that we're going to get more power getting to the end user. And power is indeed critical to any transformation of any society, because can you transform really in darkness? I'm sure everybody knows the answer is, everybody's going to say no to that. We also looked at gas. This year has been interesting with some of the challenges with the oil and gas sector. We had some challenges with gas supply, and there were also challenges relating to the actual infrastructure for gas, being the Forcados Elps line and the Trans-Niger pipeline. But we're very happy to say that in the last few weeks, both lines have come up, and we have seen improved performance on gas, improved supply, and with that, we've also seen the improvement in our own power. So you can imagine what it would have been like. We've reported some figures to you that we're all happy to see today. But imagine us standing here today to tell you that if we had adequate gas supply, we would actually have done more than that. So now that the gas supply is back with those two major pipelines being dealt with, our Q4, we are looking, it's looking good. I'm also very conscious of, they say forward-looking statements. And liquidity, with the discussions we're having, we all know about the liquidity in the power sector. There have been some changes that also came with the partial activation, where there's a payment waterfall that talks about certain people being paid before certain people. But we'll continue to engage and look at how the sector is looking for us. Now, going into hospitality sector, again, this is, like I said earlier, this is our first engagement with you post-COVID. We all remember what happened in COVID with the sector. Hospitality sector was badly, badly hit. But in that, everything that happened, the resilience of Transcorp Group showed. From coming out of a loss position in 2020, our hospitality sector, I mean, it's listed on the Nigerian, on the stock exchange as well, and you've seen it. What has happened? Our Q3 performance, our 2021 performance. Dupe is here and she will take us through some of those figures. We're very happy to report that we've come out very strongly and in a sustained fashion and have continued to grow since then. There are a few things for us to note as we talk about what's going on in the sector, notably in Nigeria. Today we have about 1,900 hotels, give or take, across. Number of rooms, 20,000 plus, of which Transcorp Hotel Abuja has 677 rooms. Our Calabar property has 132 rooms, which is 800 out of the 20,000 that's here. But what makes it even more interesting is through our asset-light strategy, Aura by Transcorp Hotels, we even have more thousands rooms that are listed on our platform, meaning that we are aggregating the hospitality business in Nigeria. On average occupancy for the year, it's been 70% year to date, which is something I think we should clap for ourselves for, honestly, right? Because even in developed markets, they do not enjoy such occupancy rates. In developed markets, your hotel is doing well, you're getting 55%, 60% occupancy. So as a country, as a nation, for us to say that we're averaging 70% occupancy, note what I said, please write it down, the average occupancy for the nation. Because when Dupe talks, she will tell you about what we are doing. At 70% is something that indeed the nation should be proud of and encouraged by. I'm emphasizing this because a lot of time we hear gloom and doom. So let's have the opportunity to also heal ourselves where it's deserved. So I've mentioned about the strong rebound that we've had post-COVID, but something that we keep on watching, and you'll see our figures, which I'm sure we all experience in our home. There is a rising cost of doing business. And it is further challenged with the depreciation of the Naira. The weakening of the Naira is in there. The inflation is challenging us. The post-COVID issues that continue to exist as it relates to the supply chain is there. And we are all here. We know how much we spend today to live versus what we're spending a few months ago. But notwithstanding that, you're still seeing the results that Transcorp Group, Transcorp Hotels have put forward. There are some concerns with security. It's all over the country. But again, we are very much on top of it. And just as we've always done, we continue to deliver the highest level of service excellence and standards, whilst making sure that we have our properties and our staff, everyone well protected and taken care of. Now, this year, we've seen more increased economic activity. Despite what had been said, despite these challenges, there's more increased economic activity coming up from, there's preparation for the 2023 general election that's coming up next year. And of course, as you can imagine, your baby, Transcorp Hilton Abuja, and your second baby, Transcorp Hotels Calabar, because they are both very central in their various locations. They are right there in the heart of it and where a lot of things are going on. Now, let me just move back a bit. Can you switch your, oh, actually, I'm the one with it. So looking at our company, Jude has done a very nice job of talking about it. But let me just say a little bit more. We have strong financial performance that we've sustained. We continue to pursue our growth agenda. Our core values, enterprise, excellence, execution, in everything that we do, who we are guides us. And it's that same sense of excellence, enterprise, and execution that's continued to guide our group, and you see the results that you're seeing. An excellent person is not about failure, I'm sure would agree. But even when you do fail, what do? You learn from the failure because you must trip up as a human being. But we are really guided by this, and in everything that we do or say, that's who we are. We are publicly, we're traded, we're listed Transcorp PLC and Transcorp Hotels PLC, listed on the exchange. And our purpose is that of improving lives and transforming Nigeria. A look at our businesses: Transcorp Power Limited, which is our first foray into power business. When we bought it, it has an installed capacity of 972 megawatts. As at today, available capacity is 670 megawatts, with a target to close higher than that at the end of the year. TransAfam, which was the baby we were incubating, for those who were here in 2019 when we stopped by. The baby we were incubating then, and we closed that transaction in March 2020. Installed capacity of 966. When we took it over, it had an available capacity of about 48 megawatts. Today, it is at 188 megawatts. Please, can we clap for? Yeah. And going on to our hospitality business, which I've touched on quite a bit, we have our investment in Abuja, the Transcorp Hilton Abuja, 677 rooms. In Calabar, 132 rooms. And the new baby of the house, our Aura by Transcorp Hotels, which is ably led by Ifoma Okafor-Obi, who is sitting down there. And of course, our energy segment, we have the OPL 281, which is rich in oil and gas. Now, we have an integrated gas-to-power strategy in Transcorp, because like we mentioned earlier, 85% of Nigeria's power comes from the thermal. Thermal equals gas. And Nigeria is rich in gas. We have a gap, and we're leveraging our own investment to see how we can have more sustainability on our gas, and that's what Peter wakes up and sleeps with every day. This is the board of directors. I believe our group chairman needs no introduction, or should I introduce him? So, Mr. Tony O. Elumelu, CFR, group chairman. Thank you very much. And on our board, we have Mrs. Foluke Abdurazak, who is our vice chair. Transcorp I think, is something to highlight. If you look at what you have in front of you, the organizational chart, you will notice that Transcorp has one is not, we actually have 4 independent non-executive directors out of a board. And we have a very strong board that is involved in what we do. They provide the guidance, they have a leadership for setting the direction. Now, going into Transcorp Hotels, as you know, Transcorp Hotels will be giving us some fact behind the figures regarding their free float. So this is the board of Transcorp Hotels, led by Mr. Emmanuel Unorom, who is the board chairman. We have the CEO here, Dupe Olushola, and the rest of us who make up the board. Sorry, no technology sometimes. And this just shows the management team beyond the leaders beyond the CEOs, to see those who are behind the scenes. There are some of them here today. We have our group CFO, Joseph Adegunwa, Toby Ojediran, who is the CFO of the hotel, Fumi, our acting company secretary. Okay, I think I should go on because of time, but you can see everybody in here, and some of them are here. We'll have more time to interact. To highlight some of the milestones and accomplishments, we're not trying to brag, no. It's about telling your story and ensuring that it is told properly. And the more people that are aware of the story, the more people that can pass on the message, which is how the gospel is moved up. We've been reminded today by the Doyen himself about how Transcorp was incorporated and how it was listed. We were listed in 2006, and we thank you for your support in that listing. And the other things that have gone on from our acquisition of the Transcorp Hilton Abuja, that's not what it was called by then, but we shall leave it as Transcorp Hilton Abuja. It was one of 3 hotels that were privatized back then, and we're very proud of that asset, knowing that it's wearing a new, you go in there, you think it was built last year, not knowing that it's actually over 35 years old. Please, can we give a round of applause for that sense of institutionalization? In 2010, we acquired the Transcorp Hotels Calabar. Then let's just come into 2011, which is when Heirs Holdings, which I'm sure is a company you're quite familiar with. It has other investee companies that are also listed on the exchange as well, beyond Transcorp, came in as a strategic investor. 2012, we did our foray into the power sector, and really going into power sector is on that realization that you can't transform without dealing with power. And that was guided our investments in our power sector. And we became the preferred bidder for Ughelli Power Plant, a plant that we have taken up from when we took over then, it was about 160 megawatts. Today, it has a available capacity of nearly 700 megawatts. It's something that indeed we're quite proud of. and we did surpass the BP minimum standard for power privatization within like 4 or 5 years of taking over that asset. And in 2020, when there were some calls on performance of the power segment at the House, Transcorp was recognized and applauded for having scaled the BPE minimum set target. Still on notable things, in 2016, Transcorp Hotels PLC, in keeping with what we do, which is we incubate businesses and we bring them forward, Transcorp Hotels was listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange here, and we have continued to uphold and maintain the highest standards of governance. Earlier on when we spoke, it was shared with us that there's a study that shows that listed companies pay more taxes. So we're very happy that we have 2 companies. So you can say that we are high on corporate social responsibility and corporate governance. Let's just move on to 2020 or 2019. In 2020, we acquired Transafam Power Limited, which I've talked about. It's something that we're really glad about because, you know, people ask us then, why are you acquiring Transafam Power with the challenges in the power sector? Because we recognize that Transcorp must play the role that it was set up to do, the transformation of Nigeria, the transformation of the continent, and hence we are in Transafam. And we're really glad that despite the challenges that have been reeled out, Transafam Power has been able to do significantly well as it relates to recovering assets that had long been moribund. One of those assets in this 2022, we're very pleased to let you know that we recovered GT20, which is 138 megawatts. Now that turbine has not worked for 15 years. And now it is up and running, and it's, I dare say, part of the power that we're enjoying today, because we've been reading about that power generation has increased in Nigeria. It's important that you know that from both our Transcorp Power Limited, Ugeli, and Transafam Power in Afam, we've actually added about 350 megawatts to the national grid. With all that we do, we are happy to share that it's not just hidden. It's not a light under a bushel. Our work has been recognized, and we've received awards. One of them that's very, very dear to our heart is that we were recognized by Hofstede Insights International as the best diversity, equity, and inclusion company in Nigeria by way of the Transcorp Hotel. And our group, the Transcorp Group, is the #1 company in diversity, equity, and inclusion. I believe that requires stronger than that. Because again, there are studies that have talked about the value that you get from diversity. And for us, diversity is who we are. It's not about having a policy to say 30% women, 20% women, or 15% young people. It's just part of who we are. We are a merit-driven organization whereby we believe in equal opportunities for all. There's nobody that is in here because you know someone, or you are measured on performance and you advance accordingly. Still on the recognition, our newest baby, which is the Aura by Transcorp Hotel, in the space of 1 year of operation, has already been recognized, there was even a special recognition award by the Tourism Innovation at the 5th edition of the Nigerian Tourism Award, which took place in May of this year. To put this in context, Aura launched July 2021. It was launched in Abuja by the Vice President himself, and we're happy that we're already seeing what we wanted to do, which is to create a renewed confidence in the hospitality sector and let people understand that there's a lot inherent in here. Now, our power business is not left out as well. The Business Day Nigerian leadership recognized Transcorp Power Limited as the power company of the year in 2020. So I'm going back because, like I said, we've not been here since 2019, so it's good to just share with you some of the things. On the African continent, you'll be delighted to know that 2 of your own, bred in Nigeria, Owen Omogafo and Dupe Olushola, we were recognized the top 10 women of making strides in Africa. I was 3rd, Dupe was 4th on that list by the Strategic Women in Leadership. Now, it's important, why am I highlighting this? We don't have enough women in leadership position. I think there was a report that was done recently by PW Advisory, and only on the top 20 companies of the exchange, they had only one female CEO. The top 20, there's some analysis that they did, and that was for Transcorp. So to see that our leadership role as women is being recognized is something that we are indeed proud of, and goes on to emphasize the diversity that we have. Still on diversity, we had the Nigerian Business Leadership Awards. Again, Transcorp was recognized for being a diverse company. Now, I'm emphasizing this because we talk about diversity and why it's important. But we are seeing it, and the figures are showing indeed, supporting the hypothesis that a more diverse company gives you returns. So there it is. And of course, our hotel, we just keep getting awards, awards, awards. Happy to share with you that for the 8th consecutive time, Transcorp Hilton Abuja has cleared 6 awards at the World Travels Award in 5 categories. And we got Africa's leading business hotel, Nigeria's leading business hotel, Nigeria leading hotel, Nigeria leading city hotel, and my personal favorite, Nigeria's leading hotel suite, which is the presidential suite of the Transcorp Hilton Abuja. Our Calabar property has also been highly awarded, still along the same vein of the excellence that we bring into it. We'll go into the key financial highlights now. You have some of the figures. What we've seen is that we've continued to maintain our double-digit top-line growth. Mr. Chiemeka was kind enough to highlight some of the figures. Our net profit has gone up by 48% from Q3 2021 to Q3 2022. We are still on track with everything that we're saying to achieving our financial FY 2022 targets to ensure that we finish on a strong note. Our cost-to-income ratio, despite the challenges that we're seeing, actually improved by 5 points. Despite everything that has been talked about with the increased performance, we have reduced our total liability by 3.8%, showing a stronger balance sheet, improved our assets by 2.2% in the same period, year on year. And with all of that, we have delivered at Q3 2022 PBT of 20.9 billion versus the 14.1 billion of same time last year. Just going a little bit deeper into that and to highlight some of the companies that we have here. Our hospitality business has grown its occupancy last year. Remember I said earlier, I asked you to remember one figure, 70%, thank you, which is the average occupancy for this year. Occupancy in the hotel has grown from 62% last year, coming out of the COVID pandemic, and is averaging, as at Q3 2022, 78%. And we see the resultant figures in what Dupe would share. In our power business, we've also seen improvements in there. And I think I've already mentioned that, how TAP, or that's AFAM, has also grown. So we continue to see that we are maintaining strength, consistent growth year on year, and it's something that we want to continue to sustain across Transcorp Group. I would just, because I want us to hear from the CEOs, at this point in time, I would like Chris Eziafulukwe, who's the MD of Transcorp Power Limited, to just tell us a few things. And I'm not dwelling on the numbers right now, because you have the numbers, right? You have it. I don't want to come and read numbers to you back again. So let Chris just spend like maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes to talk to us about what has happened in Transcorp Power Limited in the period. Chris Eziafulukwe.
Okay, thank you, Wen. And good afternoon again to the exchange. So for Transcorp Power Limited, the summary of our story is embedded in the significant increase we recorded in our available capacity, which was 470 megawatts from January, but as at September, we're doing 638 megawatts. That is as a result of significant capacity recovery that we embarked. We have 2 of our turbines. We number our turbines. So we have GT gas turbine 15, and then we also have gas turbine We have gas turbine 15 that came back, and we also have gas turbine 16 also that came back in the course of between January and third quarter. And of course, the combined capacity of both is 200 megawatts. So that gave us available capacity from which we have generated the numbers that Owen has brought to you. But more importantly, gas, which is our feedstock. I'm sure you've read a lot about gas, issues about gas in Nigeria and all that. But for us, recognizing who we are Transcorp Group. The DNA we carry is not the DNA of lamentation. It's the DNA of finding solutions within the challenging operating environment that we find ourselves in. So what we've done to secure gas is to enter into firmed up gas supply agreement with MPDC and ND West and the owners of OML 34. So we have that firm. But we didn't stop at that. We also went ahead to say, how do we further secure our gas supply? And then we entered into additional gas supply agreements with Chevron, with Seplat. As we speak, we are no longer talking of sufficiency or adequacy, but we are talking of creating redundancy in terms of gas supply. And so we are speaking with Seplat again to increase the volume of the gas supply agreement that we have, to make sure that we have enough headroom should there be any challenge along the line. In addition to that, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, some of us would have read press releases by TCN about the 150 MVA interbus transformer that was installed and energized at our plant in Ughelli. That comes with a lot of significance. What that simply means is that the losses we suffer, which the minimum is 100 megawatts, right? At times it gets up to 450 megawatts losses that we suffer anytime there's a trip in any of the transmission lines. That loss with the installation of that interbus transformer has been waived. No more. It doesn't happen again because we now have the capacity to evacuate either through the 330 kV corridor or through the 132 kV corridor. Before, we could only evacuate through one. So once the transmission lines are down, that means we have to shut down our turbines and they are no longer generation. So what's the combination of everything I've said now with the motivated workforce we have is that Transcorp Power is looking ahead, moving ahead strongly, and we're going to continue to improve not just on our available capacity, but the generated capacity out of the available capacity to be able to improve on the numbers that will continue to report to you. Finally, is to say that who we are, like I said before, is embedded in the DNA of Transcorp. And what does that mean? It's embedded in our core values. We recognize the importance of the factors of production, capital, labor, all that, but we also recognize that the most important and impactful factor is the entrepreneur, and that's ourselves. And that has brought about the results, the performance that we've been reporting to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. We call Chris our barrister engineer because when, some of you in this room will remember him, our former, once upon a time, group counsel, company secretary, but that's also part of what we do in our group. You can be who you want to be if you put in the work. Round of applause again for Chris, our energy man. Now, very quickly, let's just go to Vincent, who will talk to us about what AFAM is doing, what's happened at AFAM Power PLC. So Vincent, over to you, please.
To NHS family. TransAfam is the latest acquisition investment made by Transcorp Group. 2021, precisely 10th of March, we took over these assets, formerly a government legacy asset. We met it at 48 megawatts of installed capacity, of available capacity, out of 966 megawatts of power. But we're happy to report that we took it up to 188 megawatt capacity today. And for us to achieve that incremental power generation, we started with minimal investments CapEx recovery, knowing what FX is today, the group, imbibing the spirit of the 3 E's, execution, excellence, and enterprise, took the bull by the horn to bring what the nation needs, which is power, that will drive infrastructural growth. So bringing that 188 megawatt of power to the grid, we faced tremendous challenges which went from gas to evacuation issues. However, we were able to surmount that by going into gas supply agreement with the likes of Hazelwood Oil and Gas, the likes of Acogas, and today we can boast of assured gas supply to evacuate, generate, and put power to the grid. On that note, we continued our journey towards making sure that we finish 2022 strong. We have positioned ourselves very well by the recovery of GT20 from 5 units, which today puts 138 megawatt alone from that one machine. That machine ran last 15 years ago. So that journey puts us into finishing 2022 strong and starting 2023 on a very good note. We are very happy to say that Transafam is wired towards the dream of what everybody in Nigeria is looking for, putting power to the grid and returning shareholders' investment to their pockets. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vincent. Thank you. And your good relationship with the community as well. We'll see it when we get there. So Peter, please just take us through our energy space.
Okay. Good afternoon once again to the exchange. So on the energy space, we have a primary oil and gas asset, OPL 281. Is an asset that is very rich in oil and gas. And we are developing that asset in 2 phases. The first phase of it is to target the initial oil development. We have a very aggressive campaign. We actually completed a few development studies, and we have a very aggressive program to recomplete one of the existing legacy wells we have on that asset with the potential to bring that asset into production by the end of next year. But beyond that, we also have the goal and the aspiration to drive our gas to power strategy. So as Chris has mentioned, we have a power plant in Ughelli that is roughly about 45 kilometers from this asset. Our overall aspiration is to mature the gas assets within this field and use that to power our power plant in Ughelli to drive our vertical integration. So it's a very exciting time for us at Transcorp Energy. And there's also a lot of other things that we have in the pipeline regarding the broader energy sector, which we'll announce much later. But these are the key things that we're driving our activities now and for the next 12 months. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Peter. And just to add on this OPL 281, because end of 2020, there was a release in the market here. You recall that one of the things Transcorp was dealing with previously was a dispute with Sakoil surrounding OPL 281, and we arrived at a settlement which was filed both here at the NGX and at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. And when we completed the terms of that settlement as well last year, it was also again reported. And I recall the release that was shared at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. They commended the Nigerian business, Transcorp, and the market that we operate in, that has given us that high level of corporate governance and integrity to follow through. So I just thought it was important to mention that as well for OPL 281, showing that it is free and it's ready to follow through. Now we'll just invite, this is now inviting another company, which is your baby, Transcorp Hotels PLC, ably led by Mrs. Dupe Olushola. So because it's a listed company, I will ask for your indulgence so she can spend a little bit more time to talk about her business, so you also get to know more about it. Dupe, please.
Okay, good afternoon, and I will stand on all existing protocols. I think, a lot of the conversation has already gone on about the exciting things we have across the group. As we mentioned earlier on, you're aware Transcorp Hotels PLC is listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So for us, it's indeed a great opportunity to be able to talk to our key stakeholders directly and tell you what we're doing. It's actually great numbers across from the hotel. This year in Q1 and Q2, we've actually exceeded our expectations and achieved numbers that we have never before seen from the onset of the development of this hotel. In May alone, we actually achieved 2.9 billion naira, and this is really significant. I think I'll just talk through. Yeah, this is really significant for us. Obviously, from the onset of the COVID pandemic, we actually went from occupancy of 70% right down to 5%. So when my group CEO actually talked about the occupancy that we've achieved across the hotel, it's really significant for us. But it's not just business as usual. It was a lot of initiatives and things that we put in place to actually help us achieve that. One of the very first things that we did was that we actually decided that it was important that we develop the domestic tourism market, which is actually the leisure market. Transcorp traditionally is known as a business hotel, known as a business that, you have government patronage, etc. But we stepped back to see what we could create and recreate and actually stretch our minds to reimagine and provide access to facilities across our hotel, and this was really key and one of the key things that set us aside from what hotels are doing. So going forward in Q3 2022, we're also successful as well, and in terms of our numbers, we actually achieved 23 billion naira in terms of revenue, and this is compared to the same period last year where we achieved 14.6, and I think we deserve a clap for that as well. Yes. So despite the economic challenges, despite the COVID pandemic, despite everything that we have seen, we focused on key pillars to actually help us stay strong and grow our business, and one of which is sweating our assets. Sweating our existing assets, Transcorp Hotels Calabar and Transcorp Hilton Abuja. But beyond that, we also actually created an asset-light strategy, and Owen Omogiafo talked about that earlier on when we actually launched Aura. Aura by Transcorp Hotels, led by Ifoma, is key to our development and key to actually changing the dynamism in this industry, hospitality industry. From date till date, from inception till date, we've actually launched 5,000 hotel rooms and apartments on the platform, meaning where Transcorp Hotels is not present in Abuja or in Calabar, you literally can go onto an app and go to any accommodation site, any city, any state within this country and get accommodation and get hotels as well. I think that is phenomenal. It means that you actually have, within your budget and your hand, you can actually book whatever you want. So that is key for us. So again, one of the key things for us is actually expansion. We do not take it for granted that we've achieved this much, but beyond this, what we want to do is ensure that we begin and continue to hold and own the space within the hospitality in Nigeria and also in Africa. So looking at our expansion plans, our key focus this year and next year as well is, one, to launch our event center, which is actually going to be located at Transcorp Hilton Abuja. It is 3,000 to 5,000 capacity space, and we look forward to welcoming you all to be present and actually be part of that as we launch next year, 12 months from now, so we're counting down as well. In addition to that, we've recently actually just launched our spa, top-class 5-star spa at the hotel, launched also the gym as well, top facilities for massage, for steam rooms, everything you can look for in any international country, you would actually find it with us at the hotel. We've actually done facelift, thank you, facelift as well for most of our restaurants. Boca Restaurant, Oriental will also be launching next year. But beyond the things I've mentioned, one of the key projects that we are all actually quite collectively excited about that we're looking to bring onto the market is our Lagos Ikoyi project. I know we've talked about it before, but we're starting to see a lot of traction, and we're looking forward to launching that, breaking ground next year. And in a couple of years, we'll definitely have a 315-room hotel in Lagos Ikoyi here. So you don't have to come all the way to Abuja to experience the luxury and the customer experience that we are known for. So like I mentioned earlier on, we are listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. All all the time surpass, I want to say excellent, surpass our CGRS, which is obviously from the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Owen mentioned, again for us as well, we have a diverse board. We have our independent directors on our board. Our board is made of women and men composition, diversity all around. And I think for us, it's just to confirm and reassure as we're working towards our free float, that we're actually working in the right direction to ensure that we achieve the numbers that is expected from us. A lot of engagement has actually started in that regard, and one of it, which is our engagement here today with our key stakeholders, the Nigerian Stock Exchange. In addition to that, we continue to engage with all the financial experts, our own financial experts as well, to actually advise on the best way, the best approach to make sure that we can and fulfill this requirement in the Nigerian Stock Exchange as a listed organization. So again, for me, it is just to say that we continue to build stakeholder interest through initiatives that we introduce through innovation. We continue to ensure that we have good corporate governance at every point in time, and from our stakeholders, board, employees, and across all the organization as well. And again, we're happy to be here today, and thank you very much for having us here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dupe. I think we've heard the facts behind Transcorp Hotels, Transcorp Power Limited, TransAfam Power Limited, and Transcorp Energy Limited. Now, can you tell a story around performance without talking about ESG? I think that would be a no. So it would interest you to know that ESG, it's always been a part of us before it became the brand that it has now. It's, and just to share with you that it's part of who we are. It's very high on our agenda. It's actually our agenda. It can't even be high on the agenda because it's woven into everything that we do. Our strategy is to transform the world. And if you remember our purpose, we said to improve lives and transform Nigeria. Our sustainability strategy, linking into that, is to transform the world. And the purpose, we want to create, or we remain on track to create positive economic, social, and environmental, social, and economic impact across the various locations that we operate in. So we look at 5 pillars under the ESG bucket. Environment, climate and environment, if you look at how we operate, we are gas. Gas is considered clean energy, but beyond that, how we also operate to ensure that we have our no emission, and everything we do from how we dispose of our waste is done properly in a manner that protects and preserves the environment. On the social side, diversity and inclusion. Diversity and inclusion. Community impact and empowerment, very, 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 raised to the power, very important to us. Of course, there's no way anybody can talk about entrepreneurship on the continent and not mention one name, and that's the name of Tony Elumelu, as it relates to building entrepreneurship across the continent. And it is something that he has cascaded to all of us, and we drive that empowerment, even the businesses that we run. Wellness, health, and safety of our employees and those that come within us, and even going outside. It will interest you to know, actually, because people don't really know this, that in our 3 locations that we operate in, we actually have medical facilities. In Afam, actually, we have a cottage hospital that goes beyond dealing with the staff, but also provides services to the community. We do free maternity checks for women in Afam community. Please, let's clap for Vincent, because it's not... And still on that concept of community impact, we have 2 schools. Transcorp Power Ugeli has a school. TransAfam Power also has a school, from nursery all the way to secondary. And this is top quality education at a very, very subsidized rate that we still make them pay, because we take on most of the cost of running that school. And governance, this is part of the governance. Submitting ourselves here today, coming to show you, filing our results as at when due, having our board meetings, we do all the corporate reporting, and coming here today to show that additional layer of transparency and engagement. But just to take you through, say pictures, you like to see pictures. On environment, you see that the Earth Day, we did that in Connected Development. Transcorp Hotels PLC celebrated Earth Day. That's just the picture we're showing. Everybody did it, but this is the picture that we're showing today. This year's theme was Invest in our planet. And indeed, there's only one planet. To the best of my knowledge, they're still working to show that man can live on other planets. Yes, they say there's proof of life. I don't know what they mean by proof of life. Grass is not me. So until, if you like, see grass in Mars, until you show me a man that is breathing freely, or woman, breathing freely on Mars or any other planet, the only planet we have today is Earth, and it's our collective responsibility to nurture it and make sure it's available for generations to come. The Soap for Hope project. Now, this is one that we're really, really excited about. All of us here can identify. We've all stayed at different hotels. You use your soap, right? Is there anybody here that's ever finished a bar of soap when they go into a hotel? You don't finish it. And what do you normally do? You leave it. In the past, that soap used to become waste. But through the Soap for Hope project, we now actually recycle this soap, make them into silvers that is turned into new soap bars and is made available. So people actually generating income from that, empowering them, and then you're also able to get soap that is more available. And look at the numbers there. Over 7 million children die each year from diseases that can be prevented with simple hand washing. In Nigeria, we've gone through two, diseases where hand washing was re-emphasized. From Ebola in 2015 to COVID-19 pandemic, everybody kept on talking about what? Hand washing. So through this Soap for Hope project, we are also doing our own bit there. And still on knowing how we stand out for environmental management certification, we're very happy to inform you that this year, Transcorp Power Limited under Chris Eziafulukwe got its environmental management certification, and following it in December 2021, following its performance evaluation and showing that it is indeed meeting environmental standards. On the social end, a lot that we do from our empowerment program. We do work with the Tony Lumelu Foundation for the entrepreneurship program, but within our own communities. In Transcorp Ugeli and also in the Trans-Afam Power, we have the vocational skills and training program. You see some pictures up there. I hope you can see them, where we have, you can see our graduates. These are people that have undergone entrepreneurship training, and at the end of the training, they are given seed capital to go and start their own source of livelihood. So it's a matter of giving a man a fish and he's hungry tomorrow, or teaching him to fish, and in this case, he now teaches, or she teaches other people to fish going on. And this is something we're really happy to see. I know my own screen is unsteady, but I can see that others are steady. And you can see the community right there, community chiefs also in attendance. Transcorp Hotels PLC, we also have the Business Empowerment Program for Women. Again, these are it's really amazing to see, because you take people that have not done something before, you take them through training, then when you are done, you give, because it's not enough to be trained. We also have to fund, and they go on to run their businesses. One of the programs that is run there is a fashion design, and you find some ladies who had never even threaded a machine before. They finish this 6-month program, and there they are cutting patterns, and they are actually generating income for themselves, and they go on to train other people. Still on the social, we participate in the World Cancer Walk Day. Cancer is something that is, I don't think there's anybody in this room who does not know, either directly or indirectly, someone that they have lost from cancer. And we are working more and more to create awareness and to support the research that goes into one day hopefully finding a cure. I've talked about our community hospitals that we have, that we use to drive our wellness, health, and safety. We continue to engage with our communities. It should delight you to know, because I know you are interested in that. Vincent had mentioned we took over AFAM administratively March 10, 2021. By September, 6 months later, we had signed the MOU with the community. For those that understand community relations, that is massive. It is significant. And at no point in time did you hear that, the power plant was locked up or anybody was fighting. And so, because that is how we want to operate with our communities. In July, I visited Ugeli, and I saw two of the top traditional rulers there, and welcome with open hands. And that's how we want to be able to operate. On the governance segment, we've talked about, Dupe told us how the scores you've given us, Transcorp Hotels, on the CGRS rating. Thank you very much. We shall continue to perform to keep those scores. But we should just also mention that Our Transcorp Power Limited was this year awarded got ISO certification actually on 3 categories. Now, just to close, I know we've taken your time, but thank you for your encouragement. It's good that to bring it back. This is Transcorp. We're here in front of you today to say we're here long term. Our current investments, power, hospitality, oil and gas, and as the future will bring, in our power assets, we will continue to ramp up the existing capacity. If you've heard all of us talk, you talk about installed capacity, then we'll talk about available capacity. Installed capacity is what was written on the turbine, know what is made to do. Then available capacity is what with your additional investment, that thing is actually able to do. And we're going to continue to pursue that strategy of recovering more of the installed capacity so that we can get power to the end users in the country and beyond. Still on that, on getting to the end users, we will be entering into bilateral agreements with different stakeholders to see how we can take it further. You will have heard Chris speak with a lot of passion on the interbus transformer that was put up with in Ughelli. And you know, he's engineer Chris. Let me say it properly. Without that interbus transformer, when we hear the grid is down and stuff like that, there are some of our machines that cannot produce. We just have to more or less switch it off. Or we'll do, is it full speed, no load that Vincent calls it? It's almost like you just put on the tap and water is going out. It's not going anywhere. But now with the interbus transformer, if the main 330 kVA line is down, with the 132 kVA, we can still channel power. And we're going to leverage this to get into more relationships with discos, with eligible customers that can take power directly without us have some contracts in, which would also help our liquidity. And these are things that we'll be doing, as well as looking at other international partners that are looking to invest in Nigeria. And last but not the least for the power sector is to continue to implement a robust maintenance plan, which is really, really important to the sustainability of the power sector. Very important, at the same time, very expensive, because that is where you see, if you look at our figures, our expenses are in billions. The same way our revenue is in billions, that is how our expenses are in billions. And we continue to invest as we're trying to ensure that we're building a company that is built to last. Hospitality, Dukwe has said it, but I'll just summarize. We will continue to optimize our existing hospitality assets, but more importantly is we will leverage the capital that we have within us to expand. And the expansion will be on the asset light as well as our physical business. And we do appreciate the relationship with the Lagos State government as we are moving towards now having the Transcorp Hills in Ikoyi. Because we do, don't you think we need one? We do. We need one. So please, let's clap and appreciate the Lord ahead of that thing coming up. This is faith. And of course, with our oil and gas, Peter talked about that. Most important for you to note on our oil and gas strategy is that we want to run and drive an integrated energy strategy, whereby we produce the gas that we use to power our own assets. Thank you very much.
Hello. Please can we put our hands together for her once again? I'm sure everyone was delighted to hear Transcorp's story of steady growth, consistency, solutions, expansion, and resilience. And I think they deserve another applause for that. So we're going to take questions now. My colleague would pass the microphone around, so you can. So there's someone here. We can start with him.
Good afternoon. My name is Peter Enyanuku. I'm the one of the shareholder of Transcorp. Having said that, first, I'd like to thank our chairman, Tony Onimelu. He's a man of the people. He's a man of the people. I won't say more than that because we benefit a lot from him. In UBA, they have 3 subsidiaries. We benefit on it. Other companies sold their own, keep in their pocket, but Olumelu released the company to the public, and it is in Nigeria Stock Exchange. So help us extend our greeting to our chairman. Having said that, coming to the board of the director, you said, madam, you mentioned some independent directors, but who represent minority shareholder in the board? Must have 1 or 2. Please look into it. The next one is about the Transcorp Hotel. How do we put in the security? Because it's very important now. Our security must to double up. Seriously, madam. The next one is about the Transcorp Hotel Ikoyi. I'll repeat it again. Olumelu try. This is 6 years to make that place to sustain. Good 6 years. The struggle with different governor. This one will come, will go. We arrange with this one will come, you go. More than 6 years, I know about it. By the grace of God, we're going to achieve it. 6 years. Don't worry, I'm going to the last question. Regard to the fact behind the figure, my expectation is, what are we expecting to have for 3 years return back to the shareholder? That's the dividend. So thank you very much.
Would you like to take the questions? Okay, that's fine.
Can I?
Okay, please hold on. Let's take him first.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. Please, I am Bonnie Amadi, West Africa Business News. On Transcorp share pricing, and what are you doing? What do you intend to do to make sure the pricing picks up? Are you considering share reconstruction or maybe buyback so that at least it will jack up and then investors will also key into price growth? Again, are you thinking of bringing a Transcorp Power to the exchange? And if you're doing this, when are we expecting that? The third one is it has to do with okay, sorry, I almost forgot what I wanted to ask. Your asset class, what is the proportion of debt to equity?
All right, thank you very much. I think we'll have a man here. Dio. There's someone here. Okay.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. The name is Abayomi Adebayo. I'm both shareholder of Transcorp Transnational Corporation and Transcorp Hotel. I'm very happy to be here this afternoon, especially when the two MDs, MD of the Transcorp and Transcorp Hotel took us through their speech. It was very, very interesting. And to start with, I want to join the first speaker to also appreciate what our chairman of the group, Chief Tunde Melo, has done in this country. I know that a lot of Nigerians have benefited from his foundation, Tony Elumelu Foundation, and also we heard about all the assistance he rendered during the COVID to a lot of Nigerians. So please help us appreciate him. Looking at the paper giving us structure of both Transcorp, that is Transcorp as a group and Transcorp Hotel. And I want to point out something based on what we know about the new CAMA 2020, talking about the board structure. I looked at it and I'm very happy that the saying that what a man can do, a woman can do better is what we'll see here this afternoon. That the MD of both Transcorp Hotel and Transcorp Group, the two MDs are women, and they've performed excellently. In fact, performed even more than what some men have not been able to achieve. So it's really very impressive to me. I think they deserve a great round of applause. And that is why I want to say that, looking at the board structure of Transcorp and Transcorp Hotel, the two MDs are the only ED on the board. And I'm looking at it that going by the newcomer, I think they are not fully compliant. Having just one ED, one executive, and the workload may be too much for the MD alone being the ED. I think there should be ED operation or ED finance. So it's something I like to look at. And I'm also concerned about, as Ms. Olushola mentioned, Transcorp Hilton Ikoyi, because as shareholders, we go for Transcorp Hotel AGMs in Abuja. We're going there for several years. And each time we go to Abuja for Transcorp Hotel AGM, we are very happy because we know that Transcorp Hotel in Abuja is number one. We know nobody can doubt that. It's number one. In every area, in every aspect you may view it, it's number one. Now, if you are coming to Lagos, I want to ask that, because if the first time I passed through that area where your site is for Transcorp Ikoyi, I look at the land there. Is that land big enough? I look at it, is it big enough? And then, how long do you intend to finish the structure? Because we want it to be completed as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay, you want to take more questions? Okay. Is there any other person? Okay, there's a man here. Okay.
The chairman of the occasion and the team from Transcorp. I just have one question. While you were during your introduction or your presentation, one thing that struck me is that you said you have not come to brag. I think what you have come to do is to booger. You didn't come to brag, you came to booger. But for me, I think the major missing link as to what Transcorp is not doing vis-a-vis what the market expects to see is your forecast. And you've also done a presentation, no focus. And you know why this is important? The price that you have on the market is of tomorrow. So if people don't know to a large extent what your tomorrow is going to look like, I've not seen your fourth quarter, and I can confirm that about 30 companies have sent in their fourth quarter forecast. So I'll be encouraging you, because one of the excuses I've also heard Chief Executive, because of the uncertainty of the environment. Meanwhile, some persons are doing it. And I think that the worst case scenario that you'll be doing the lower end of the hockey stick rather than doing the higher end of the hockey stick. So let's see your forecast much more, so we can also say this is what you say you are going to do, given the environment, your dollar going to 800, your pound going to 1,000 of, but it's important that we have your forecast. The second one, which again I'm not too certain as to what you want to do, has to do with gas and power. I've seen a few companies that have boats in one port, and I've also seen a few that they're also standing alone. Going forward, what are you hoping that will be the strategy? Because if you heard the question that the speaker before me, one of the things he talked about, you can't do it all alone because you don't have assistance in executive director. But if you were to use the other model, I'm sure that will not be the same situation. So are we expecting a review in strategy in terms of the structure that you currently carry? Thank you. For the records, my name's Nona Awu.
Okay, there's someone here. There's someone here.
My name is Mohammed Jamil Kahadi. I trade for APT Securities and Funds Limited. Good afternoon, everyone. I think this is the first time that we are having fact behind the figure, one fact behind the figure for two listed companies. I don't know where you got that strategy that you are coming with that. You have Transcorp Hotel and you have Transcorp on the side. So you are doing fine if you are difficult for the two. Fine, everything is fine. Thank you very much for that. Then secondly, the issue of you are coming here. When you come here, next time, we have investment advisors here, we have analysts here, we have many of them there. So you come with your challenges, especially in the sector that you found yourself. And from what I can see is that Nigerians' problem that we have today, we are having the issue of power, which I realize that one of your subsidiary is handling that. Then I now realize that Transcorp Hotel, one of the issues that you need to, that affects you a lot is as regards to power. How are you able to sourcing your power, looking at the epileptic power supply we're having in the country? How are you able to generate your power and being used by Transcorp Hotel at a very cheaper rate so that you can be able to reduce the cost of your operation? Thank you very much.
Okay, over there, the woman. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Mrs. CEO Bidei. You make mention of the luxury in Abuja, Transcorp, and the one in Lagos. With the space in Lagos, are you giving us assurance that what we are enjoying in Transcorp Abuja is what we'll be enjoying in Lagos? Then secondly, the Transcorp in Calabar, I don't think is bringing more revenue. What are we doing? What are we doing to get more revenue? Since you promised us that there will be an enjoyment as we are enjoying in Abuja Transcorp. So what is the improvement you are putting in place? The last speaker was saying the newcomer involve, 35% of female gender. We can see it will reduce men from having great hair. When they don't have women beside them, they have a lot of great hair. But now, female have reduced it. So, I appreciate you for that. And I know OM and Modupe, the name make important.
About the question, we can.
So thank you very, very much. Very thought-provoking and insightful questions. Some of them are things that we would note. We've noted the advice. We've gotten the feedback. And while some I would invite the CEOs to also respond, then I will come in if that's okay. So Dupe, let's start with you. You can just take the questions on the hotel.
We're talking about intelligence, we're talking about support from external and internal security. Right through when you come to the hotel, we know that from CCTV coverage to the right security supporting you, everything is in place. Beyond that, though, what is critical for us is ensuring that we do not lose out on the customer experience that we want to give you. So we don't expect you to come to our place and feel like you're in a barracks or anything like that. But I just want to use this opportunity to reassure you that Abuja is safe, Transcorp Hilton is safe, Nigeria is safe, and we're just ensuring that we're putting everything that is required to ensure that we keep our country safe and all the people, assets and employees safe at the hotel as well. So that's key. The second one you asked about Ikoyi. So again, I'm smiling because I'm so excited to say that we did acquire some more land just recently within the last few weeks. So you have no reason to be concerned at all. When you come to Transcorp Hilton Ikoyi, you will get the best accommodation, you get the more than ample size, you get the best experience, everything that you're used to from our 5 standards, you would also get here as well. The other question, I think some of them are noted in terms of ED. My team, I have a dynamic team, despite the fact that we don't have any ED positions right now. All that we have achieved has been done collectively by the team and I. And so, we're very happy to ensure that our employees will continue to invest in them, and we have no concerns about ensuring that we continue to deliver. Power is key. Operational efficiency is priority for us at the hotel. We went from spending 250 naira on diesel to 800 naira, but operational efficiency is extremely important. Just to note, Transcorp Hilton Abuja is the only hotel that actually you have 24 hours light. It does not even blink. So that is so important that we continue to maintain. Thank you very much. We continue to maintain that, and we don't compromise on that, whilst ensuring that at every point in time we are efficient as well. So key is we've actually engaged AEDC, and I'm very happy to say that we've also gotten some some good benefits from that discussion with them to ensure that we are key. We're key to Nigeria. We're key to ensuring that all our guests are safe and secure and getting the best service at all times. So power is also a key part of that as well. I think our standards, yes, we will not compromise. And then on Calabar as well. Thank you for asking the question about Calabar. Calabar is key. Calabar is, Cross River is a state where, hospitality is part of the nature of the people in there as well. So recently what we've actually done is we've upgraded almost half of the rooms, and we're looking and welcoming so many people. We're going into a very busy period now with the carnival coming up, and so we put a lot of key strategies in place to ensure that next year we're looking to actually upgrade more of the rooms and make sure that it's the standards that you're used to from the brand overall. So again, happy for the opportunity to really be able to share about THP and what we're doing across the hotel space. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dupe. Thank you. Now, we were also asked about, there are some questions that came up on the power sector I think we were advised to bring the challenges, which we brought, but we are here to do business and we are doing business. As you talk about the challenges, you must also talk about the solution and how you are turning those challenges into opportunities. Let me invite Chris Ezeafulukwe now to talk to us about the integrated gas to power strategy that we are operating, as well as what we are doing on gas. Chris, please.
Thank you, Owen. Nona, thanks for the question or the comment. As I said before, gas is very integral to our power generation. It's our feedstock. Without gas, we can't generate. So gas is critical to our business. Gas, again, is one of the challenges, generally speaking, that we've had, in our operating environment, because the huge deposit of gas that we are blessed with in the country, significant part of it is still underground. So there are 2 sides to it. First, at the general level, in terms of sectorial and economic conversations being had and solutions. Secondly, at the individual level, how do we as Transcorp Group want to conquer our space and take advantage of the resources that we have and the synergy that we have as a group? And that is where the gas to power strategy that we have comes in. What does that simply mean? When Peter spoke, he spoke to you about our oil and gas asset, which is overseen. That asset is very rich in gas and is located at a point where, reasonably speaking, we can and we will afford to transport gas after the development dedicatedly to our power plant in Uyeli, where that gas will be used to fire our plant. A whole lot is going on. Engaging with the experts, and we're at the stage where we are validating some of the numbers with regard to the gas deposits there. But what we have, what that strategy will do for us is that in midterm, is a midterm strategy. We are definitely going to have, like I said, gas dedicatedly produced from our asset piped is about 41, 42 kilometer distance. That again has been accessed. We're going to have pipeline, which again will be a transportation asset to us that would also open up to some other injectors that may want to, take advantage of that in future. But the ultimate target is to have gas piped to our plants. In the short run, I had already spoken to that. We're doing a lot with those who are producing gas today to make sure that we're not talking sufficiency, we're talking adequacy and headroom, actually, to make sure that we'll have healthy generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Just noting the interest of time and respectfully, I think I'll just try and wrap up now. I think one of the things I'd like to leave us with here, because one of the questions raised was about EDs. I think instead of looking at just ED, look at the robustness of the succession plan that Transcorp Group has in place. And if you look at here, you know us on this board. I saw Mrs. Obideyi when she was speaking. I myself, I came in from being the CEO of Transcorp Hotel, and when the group CEO position was vacant, there was internal succession. Dupe, you would remember her. Dupe used to run our Terrago business, and she's been a part of the group. We also have Chris, who had been introduced before. There's a strong and very robust succession plan that is in place. And what makes it, what I even want you to leave here with is, it's not just a succession plan in terms of the people alone. There's a succession plan in terms of the strategy. And if you go and look at the various engagements that Transcorp has brought across, you'll see that there's continuity. We don't have one person coming in and the objective is tear down what has been there before. Rather, we build upon, and by building upon, we continue to create value for our shareholders and all stakeholders. On our books, we continue to maintain a very healthy ratio. The figures are there, and we are very, very much aware. And if you look at it as well, we've just seen some recent increases in the exchange rates due to the changes. Right? However, you look at that, there's a conscious effort. We're performing on all our loans, and our debt to equity ratio is very healthy. It's 0.6 to 1. It's very healthy, and we continue to perform. In one of the things that I said, I mentioned that the bonds that we raised, we've paid down fully on it, and our track records are there. We note the statement on the forecast, and just to state that every quarter, as we release our results, we do an analyst call, and at that analyst call, we share, and the figures are also available. And we will continue to engage things like this to talk about it. And it will be interesting if you go and look at our last call and the performance to date, you'll find it a bit interesting to know how we are doing. But I want to leave here to say that we are building to last. We will continue to build to last, and we'll continue to drive strategies that will create sustainability for today and for the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would now invite the donor of the market, Alhaji Rashid Yusuf, for the closing remarks.
Thank you very much. The CEO of Transcorp and our team, we thank the two of you and all your members for the presentation. I want to thank you for the information you are giving us. But at the same time, I would like to also encourage you to come to the exchange and do this kind of presentation more often. I understand the last one you did was about 3 years ago, 2019 or thereabout. You see, when you have two women leading a company like this, and the two of them are very oratory in their presentation, they wouldn't know that the time is running. They just talk and tell you and carry you away. But then you see brokers and investors also measure the return they get on their investment by the kind of time they also spend. So if you come here more on a frequent basis, to exchange views with us. I want to thank you for the picture you have painted. You've painted the picture that the company is under a good manager and that all that needed to be done have been done. The only thing that I'm sure you have not told us is how much dividend you are going to pay and when we should expect it. Shareholders here and brokers, that to me is the critical thing. Because by the time we leave here and we go back to the floor tomorrow and day after, it's going to be what are your dividend expectations from that company. And we should be able to go back and say, from what we have had, something good is coming. But I know you've given us a lot of beautiful words, but no figure. So maybe you can still make this up by sending your interim figure quickly so that people can catch up in those areas. But the most important thing, like I said, is prices on the exchange are determined by three major factors. The first is your publisher account. If you give us your publisher account on time, then that will affect the movement of the price of your stock either way. In addition to that is what you have done today, which is to give us current information about the company. Current information does not necessarily have to be, well, we will prefer it to be a positive one. But even the challenges that you are encountering, if you share it with the brokers, the broker will be able to also give you input in the resolution of some of those challenges. If you don't do those two on a constant basis, then you create room for rumor mongering because nature abhors vacuum. And therefore, you don't want to be judged based on rumor mongering. So you provide as much information as possible. And the best way to do it, give the stock exchange more information on a regular basis about yourself, engage your brokers, engage your issuing house, give her the financial information, whether you are being challenged, whether you are doing well, or whether you are expanding or not. And that way, we will be able to also advise our shareholders and our investors about your company appropriately. I want to thank you for coming here today. We've learned a lot from you. We'd like to learn more from you. I would like to be updated on some of the things, particularly when are you going to pay dividend. Thank you for coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the facts behind the figures presentation by Transnational Corporation PLC. We hope you all had a good time at the exchange and wish you a safe journey back home. Thank you.